Welcome to the BCFC Coaches Show for Week 5. It's the halfway point in the 2011 campaign as the battle of undefeated teams will kick off on Saturday afternoon. The winner claims sole possession of first place. The 4-0 Okanagan Sun visit the 4-0 Vancouver Island Raiders at Caledonia Park. It's the first installment of the year for these rivals. For the first 4 weeks, both teams have watched film, talk about the matchup, and have compared each other to the opposition. With all the prep, is Raiders head coach Matt Blocker glad this game is finally here?
All that said, I'm just glad it's here because it's it's a great rivalry, and I think these two teams they play good football when they play against each other, and it's fun to be a part of. And then the other excitement's on the line. Obviously, is it's first place so far. Whoever wins this game is going to put himself into first place and going into the bye. So that adds to the excitement of it.
How do you feel you match up with the Sun?
Well, I don't know how we match up. I'll let you know a little bit more Saturday. We haven't really played each other, and I think there's a lot of new faces and new coaches and new everything. So I'm not quite sure, how we're going to do that as far as matching up, but we'll figure that part out. But they're a pretty hard team to match up against as well. I mean, they're extremely talented up front on the defensive side, and they can play really physical up there, or they can turn it into a speed game. And they have the CJFL leading sacker there, so they know how to get to the ball, and they know how to do it with 4 guys. So they're really talented that way. I think their receiving core is been a little bit overshadowed compared to how good they really are. So they got 6-7 really good receivers there as well, and now they got the running back back. So and he looked really good last week. So I just think they're talented all across the table, and I think they're a very confident team as well.
Now that is the rival game, and you talked about it's such a great rivalry for the fans and for the players. Do you feel the players, your players specifically, are a little bit more focused in practice this week?
Well, I don't think there's any comparison.
Yeah.
I think the tempo and level and where we're at, and yeah, absolutely, it's at a complete different level, and you wish it's at the same level every week, but you got to be honest about that. And once again, there's just more on the line from winning and losing this game for both teams. So I think that itself raises the level of focus and the level of tempo of practice.
The last couple of weeks, you've talked about consistency and your team needing to be a little bit better consistently. How do you coach that?
Well, I think you have to. Consistency is, for us, is just not allowing us to forget the smallest little thing, and it starts with your basics. And that's one thing that a philosophy of our coaching staff, and we won't, get to the next step until we do the first one right. And we practice that every day, where we film our practice and go over it and see how we practice every day with it. And I think from that it creates consistency and it creates work ethic, and those are the two things, if you're going to go and beat the Sun, you better have.
For the Sun, they traveled to a place where the visitors have lost 39 straight times. The Sun are coming off their best performance of the year, and head coach Jason Casey is pleased with how this team has prepared.
Very much. We've been very focused. Everyone's had this game circled on our agenda since the schedule was posted, so everyone knows how important it is. We're both 4-0. We want to leave 5-0 and leave them 4-1, and they're going to be saying the same thing. So it's going to be a heck of a battle, and I think the players are ready. We've been devouring film. We've had very focused practices mentally, physically, emotionally. We're all on the same page, and I think it's going to come to fruition on Saturday.
I'm glad you brought up film. Have you been watching this year's Raiders, or peeking ahead at all to last year and the fact that the last game they played last year was a loss against Saskatoon?
99% of it's this year. They've got a little different dynamic on the O-line. They've got some new faces in the backfield. Alex Jobson's a very fast, smooth runner. He also returns kicks. And just to see their timing this year. So we're primarily focused on 2011 Raiders. That's who we have to beat. We were only 1-2 against the 2010 Raiders. So we're focusing on this year's Raiders and making sure we're ready for what they have this season.
What's the strategy against Jordan Yates? Because that's what they have.
Contain him and pressure him. Yeah. We have to contain him so he can't throw on the run and buy more time, and we have to hurry him to force him to throw to his first read and not get into his second and third read or scramble. So we've got to have our D-ends, linebackers, D-tackles very focused. Our front seven need to know where he is at all times, and if it's passed, we've got to get pressure to him.
They have a very good offense. You have a very good defense. How much is this going to come down to special teams?
I think it is. I've been saying primarily, I mean, it's going to be the best offense is going to win. So if their offense is always on the field and beating down our defense, well, it's going to, be advantageous to them. And if our offense is on the field beating down their defense, well, then Yance and company is on the bench. So, I mean, that's ideal. I think the kicking game is going to be huge. We need Steve McFadden to step up and show us. I mean, he has flashes of brilliance with his legs, some big kicks, so we need him to be very consistent on Saturday. We need our coverage team to contain their returners so they don't start, on our side of half when it comes to, if we're punting after our offense stalls. And we need big returners again. I mean, Ben White and Robbie Yoakum did a phenomenal job against West Shore, so I'm hoping we can keep that momentum and put our offense on a short field.
Also on Saturday afternoon and just south, the West Shore Rebels will look to bounce back against the visiting Kamloops Broncos. The Rebels are 2-2 on the year as head coach John Carliccia explains what their practices have consisted of this week.
Oh, working our bloody butts right off. We're doing what we do as far as execution and the rest of it, but we've stepped up our conditioning, we've stepped up our intensity, our hitting, everything. I mean, it's been a couple of really solid practices so far this week.
By design, is that what you want to do coming into week 5?
Well, not necessarily, but we need to learn how to play 60 minutes of football, and conditioning is obviously a big part of that. So we're stepping up our conditioning a whole bunch, and just our intensity and how much we hit each other in practice, because too many letdowns during the games and ups and downs. At times we look great, and other times we look like we're tired or we're soft or whatever. So we just want to focus on playing 60 minutes of ball right now.
You've also been watching tape on the Broncos. What have you seen on tape from those guys?
They're a solid football team. They're well coached. They got some talent. They've got a defense that's very, very aggressive, and they fly around and make plays, and they'll play hard for 60 minutes, and they're a good football team. So we've got to show up with our best game.
You mentioned defense. One of your best defenders, Colton Farago, came out of the game last week with what appeared to be a lower body injury, late stages of that game. What's his status? Is he okay?
No, he's not. Unfortunately, it's a heartbreaker. This kid's only 18 years old, and he was going to be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year this year, in my opinion. I mean, the kid's all over the field, and but yeah, no, it's a pretty bad injury, so he probably won't be back for the rest of the year.
The Kamloops Broncos suffered their third loss of the year last week and will look to snap a 2-game slide. As head coach Duncan Othius explains last week's loss to the Rams.
We had a disappointing first half, but I saw a lot of fight from the kids in the second half. They came out and they showed that they can kind of come back from a down first half and come try to take away the lead and get back into the game.
Are guys still up? Are they still motivated for the games and also the practices?
Yes, they are. They're a little down on the record as far, but they know we're a good team, and that the record doesn't really show how well we can play. That we've been just little mistakes that have been happening that we can easily correct, and the record could be different.
Well, looking at this week, you make another trip to the island. You're second in 3 weeks. Are these kinds of trips the most difficult because you do it all in one day?
They are. It's a long trip, and taking the bus down there, we have to leave around 5 or 6 in the morning, so it's long for some guys. Some guys are working nights, so they basically have to sleep on the bus going down there. It could be kind of uncomfortable, but we can't make any of those excuses. Other teams do it as well, and they perform. But it is a hindrance to us, I would say.
Yeah. Well, looking at the Rebels this week, how are you preparing?
We've just got to keep Cat in the pocket. He's a very fast paced quarterback, and they got 2 good running backs that are a very big threat, and just keeping those guys in check and hopefully get our run game going again, and hopefully if we get that going, we can beat them with the pass later on.
The nightcap on Saturday will see the 1-3 Langley Rams host the Chilliwack Huskers, who are 0-4. The Rams are coming off their first win of the year and the first for head coach Jeff Alamahota, who admits some pressure has been lifted getting his first W.
Yeah, to get the monkey off the back is always a good thing to have, especially your first year. So it's definitely always good to get that first monkey off your back.
Nick Downey was the offensive player of the week. Just how good was he last week?
He was outstanding. He made a move last week that our whole bench erupted on, and he does that in practice all the time, and I can't say enough about that young man. he comes out, he plays so hard, and he's tougher than a lot of people will give him credit for, I think, just based on his size and whatnot. But we're real happy with the way he came out and produced.
You draw your former team this week in the Chilliwack Huskers. Does it feel weird preparing for them?
Not so much as weird. I do know a bunch of their athletes on that side of the ball over there, so it is kind of different to be preparing for those guys. But we're focused on the Rams. We're focused on what we need to do here to make ourselves better, and of course, face the Chilliwack Huskers and take them on in a game in our home stadium. We haven't won a game here yet in our home field, and that's what we are striving to do this weekend.
What do you know about the Huskers? How are you preparing for them?
We got obviously the game film that we're looking at. We watched them on film, and we watched them compete hard last week in the game against Nanaimo there. So we know that they are a hard football team, and they're better than what people give them credit for. So, we prepare just as usual. We get in the film room, we do our diligence in the film room, and we get on the practice field, and we make sure that we're practicing hard in order to face our opponent, coming up on Saturday.
All 3 games in Week 5 of the BCFC will be played on Saturday before the bye weekend. Keep up to date and follow the BCFC on Facebook. Enjoy Week 5. Until next time, I'm Ryan Waters.